When we say physical change, it means that there are no new substances which are formed. On the other hand, if it is a chemical change, there are new substances are formed. So meaning to say, like, there's a change in color. There's also there's a gas coming. Another is it's irreversible. Not unlike physical change, like water to ice, it is you can reverse it. You can put it back into the original. But the chemical change, you cannot. So it is irreversible. That's the term. Now, here in this activity, what you have to identify is, okay, I'll give you a chance to answer. Identify if it is physical change or chemical change. Okay, number one, ice melting
Physical.
is physical. This one, a wax candle burning.
Uh,
You have the word burning.
Chemical.
Wax burning, let's see. Yeah, wax burning is chemical. Yeah. Wax candle melting.
Physical.
Physical toasting of bread.
Uh, Physical.
It's a chemical reaction. Like every time that you cook something, it's definitely a chemical reaction. So toasting a
Okay.
bread is a chemical reaction. Mixing the ingredients for a cake. You're just gonna mix all the things for your cake. So it's a physical or chemical.
Uh, Physical.
Physical, yes. Cooking a cake or baking a cake is definitely
Chemical.
a chemical. And how about water boiling and giving off steam?
Chemical.
It is a chemical change. Yes, definitely. So here, of course, there is also another question here. Oh, we're not finished with this one. Okay, before we answer this, I'll give you a very short explanation about the acids, carbonates, and the conservation of mass because this will be included in your exam. So when we say acid, of course, there are materials which are acid, and every time an acid will react with a metal, it will produce two things. Okay, one is a name of a salt, and the second one is hydrogen. So take note, Fatima, that again, if there's a metal, you're going to mix it with an acid, any name of the acid. The metal and the acid, this part is what we call reactants. Okay, let me type here. Yeah, reactants. And then if you're going to mix it, and there is an arrow, right? Have you seen the arrow? I guess so. Yeah. So this arrow means chemical change. So if you're going to add, okay, two things, or you're going to add the reactants, okay, on the left side of your screen. If you're going to add the reactants, there will be always a an arrow, and this arrow should be in your formula all the time. And these salt plus hydrogen are what we call products. Again, in the chemistry world, in any chemical reaction, okay, with this arrow, there are reactants there are products. So in this type of chemical reaction, if a metal, any metal, you will mix it with an acid, the product is always a salt and a hydrogen, which is H2. Okay, take note. For example, so zinc plus hydrochloric acid, and then there's an arrow, which means, what's the meaning of arrow, Fatima?
Uh,
What kind of change?
um, the products.
No, this arrow, the arrow means chemical change.
Right. Okay.
Yes, again. And then you have zinc chloride plus hydrogen. Now, the question is, what are the two products in this formula, this word formula? What are the products?
Zinc and chlorine.
Zinc chloride and hydrogen. Okay, so because when you say zinc chlorine, it's going to be a different, it's not a salt anymore. But this zinc chloride and hydrogen would be your products. But before making this zinc chloride and hydrogen, you need reactants. And what are your reactants? Zinc and hydrochloric acid. Now, look, okay, focus Fatima on this part. Zinc plus hydrochloric acid. Which one is the metal? Which one is metal? This or this? Look at the formula. Look at this formula. Metal plus acid. Zinc, exactly. And hydrochloric is considered as an acid. So take note, Fatima, that it's so obvious that this one is an acid. Okay? So the question is, if you're going to add zinc plus hydrochloric acid, what are the two things that will produce? One is a salt, okay? And one is hydrogen. So what's the name of the salt? It is the zinc chloride. Okay, now we're going to use only the word formula. So no need for us to use the one with the numbers, okay? So do not be confused. So we will focus on the word formula. So again, if a metal will be added to the acid, there are two things, there are two products, and it's always there's always the hydrogen and always a salt. So for example, this one, okay, iron plus sulfuric acid equals iron sulfate plus hydrogen. Where is the salt? And this formula?
Iron sulfate.
Exactly. Where is the metal?
Iron.
Iron, right? So what happens here is that the iron will join the sulfur. Okay, the iron will join the sulfurs. That's why it becomes iron sulfate. On the other hand, the acid is contains, of course, another particle, and it will be added into the hydrogen. So again, this one is a very essential general formula that you need to take note for your test. Now, this one, part two, we talk about the carbonates. If the carbonates will react with acids or with other elements such as, metals, and if it is a metal, okay, we're talking about a metal, okay, reacting with a carbonate. So when we say carbonate, it has something to do with which element?
Carbon.
Exactly, carbon, okay? So earlier, it's like metal plus acid. So this time, what if the metal will react with a carbonate? What will be the products? Okay, the products, so this will be the general formula. Let me emphasize here. So this metal A, oh my goodness, yeah. This metal A will react with metal B carbonate. So you have the keyword, and there's an arrow, and the arrow means again, there's a chemical reaction, okay? So the name of the metal A will be added with the carbonate, okay? And then the metal B will stay alone, will stand alone. Okay, for example, because it might be really confusing for you. Sodium, okay, where are the reactants, Fatima, on in this part? Reactants. When you say reactants, these are like before the arrow. So definitely the carbon was that the reactants are the sodium plus the calcium carbonate. Take note, huh? So if it is after the arrow, it means the words here, sodium carbonate plus the calcium, these are what? What do you call this?
Product.
Products, exactly. So Look, which one is metal? Okay, we're so metal A. The first metal is sodium.
Sodium.
Okay, and then there's also a metal with a carbonate, which is calcium carbonate. Now, what will happen is this. So, if there's a chemical reaction, what you need to do is just to copy the metal A, the name of the first metal, which is sodium, and then you're going to add the word carbonate. It's just like transferring of the carbons, and then you're going to add like a plus sign, and then the calcium, which is the metal B, will stand alone. So again, so in this formula, it's just like exchanging only the atoms of each of each element. If it is only a, what's your clue? If it is carbonate, okay, let's have a recap. If it is a metal reacting with an acid, what will be your product? What will be your products?
So and salt plus hydrogen.
Yes, so the hydrogen is always there. It's best friend of everybody. So it means that yeah, there's a name of the salt because you have the zinc chloride. You will just copy the metal, the name of the metal from the reactants, and then you will just have the chloride here. Why it's chloride? Because remember this one, chloric chloride. So that's your clue. Okay, zinc chlor. If you have the word chloric here, it becomes a chloride, and the hydro here, which means hydrogen, it will be put into hydrogen here. Okay, now the part two is metal A. How about the carbonates? So it's all about the exchanging only with the metal A and the metal B. So for example, this one, let's see, what are the products of example number two? About
Magnesium and copper carbonate.
products.
Oh, the
For,
products.
yeah, where are the products?
Magnesium carbonate plus copper.
Exactly, exactly. So it means that these are your products because in your exam, Fatima, you will just identify where are the products, where are the reactants.
All right.
Yeah, but this time it's just like metal plus metal carbonate, okay? Now, part three is what if there's an acid? What if acid will react with a carbonate. So remember, carbonate, it has something to do with the metals. And acid is acid. Now, again, if there's an acid and then it will be combined with a carbonate, this is always the answer. This is always the products, the byproducts. Number one, you will produce a salt. It's a name of a salt. Number two, you will produce H2O, definitely H2O. And number three, the third product will be carbon dioxide. So again, so in this part, okay, the scenario is you will add an acid and a carbonate, and the products will be a name of a salt, H2O, and CO2. So for example, so that we can identify. So, well, yeah. So So if you're going to look at the example, the first acid is hydrochloric acid. As from the name itself, hydrochloric has how many elements?
Uh, three.
From the word itself, you have hydro, which means
Uh, uh, two.
hydrogen, hydrogen, and
Yeah.
chloric, it is something to do with chlorine, right? It's chlorine, hydrogen and chlorine. But then, of course, it's an
Yeah.
acid. And then calcium carbonate, you have calcium, and then you have what? Carbon. You
Okay.
have carbon. So what happens is this. How are you going to convert this into the product? So what happens is the metal from the carbonate, you will just copy it. Okay, again, if it is acid and carbonate, look at the carbonate itself. So you have already the calcium. So the word calcium, whatever metal is this, you will put it here, you will copy. And the chloric here from the hydrochloric acid, it becomes chloride. Again, so whatever's the name of the acid later, you will see yeah. So you're just going to copy, you will change this one. Okay, and then of course you will just copy water plus carbon dioxide again. So what happens here is that you will just identify the name of the salt, and then you will just copy the water and carbon dioxide, because acid and carbonates are combining together. So again, your products will be free. Okay, let's have a recap. If there's a metal and acid, how many products will be produced? If it is metal and acid, how many products will be produced? There are
Yeah.
there are two, salt and hydrogen. If it is a metal and a metal carbonate combining, how many products will be produced?
3.
Is it three? It's two only. One is a metal carbonate and then another metal.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so it's two, okay? Metal plus a metal carbonate. But if it is an acid combining with a carbonate, how many products will be produced?
Is it 3?
Yeah, it's three. Salt, water, and it's always water, and it's always carbon dioxide. Water and carbon dioxide are always present as your products, and all you need is to find out what will be the salt. Okay, now let's see here. Uh, how about look at this one? Yeah, this one is a word equation. Where are the reactants? Can you tell me where the reactants for this?
Magnesium and sulfuric acid?
Yes. And look at the products. How many products are there?
2.
Yes. Now the question is, for in this word equation, where is the metal?
Magnesium?
Magnesium, right? And it will be a metal added with an acid. What will happen? What is this magnesium sulfate? What kind of yeah thing here?
Could you,
Is it huh?
could you repeat that?
Yeah, because magnesium sulfate is a salt. Remember the formula earlier? Metal plus acid, and then arrow, salt plus hydrogen. So definitely, if you see an acid here, okay, and then you see magnesium, obviously I always use magnesium as an example. So it is a metal. So it means that this sulfuric acid has something to do with sulfur, and it becomes sulfate. So again, magnesium, it becomes magnesium sulfate, and then you will just add hydrogen. Now, for example, the reactant's total mass is 187. Okay, if the total, what happened to my document? Okay, if the total mass is 187, wait, let me if the total mass of reactants is 187 grams, then the total number of the products will also be 187 grams. Okay, so again, this one is the conservation of mass. So when we say conservation of mass, in all of the reactions, the total mass of reactants is equal to the total mass of products, which means that the atoms are only rearranged. Okay, if there will be a chemical change, the atoms are not lost, they're just interchanging. That's why it's the atoms are only rearranged. So the total the total gram is 200 here for the reactants. So the total mass of the products are still 200. So it's balanced. And this is what we call conservation, or the law of conservation of mass. Again, the total mass of reactants equals to the total mass of products. Do not forget this, Fatima. So even the substances, okay, even there's a change in the form because of the chemical change. The atoms are simply not lost on this chemical change, but it's just simply rearranged. So that is the idea of the law of conservation gas. So again, let's have this. Oh my goodness. So we're going to, this one is from your book, so I have to explain this to your classmates. So this is the word equation. Look at this. This is the word equation. So this is the reactants are a carbonate plus an acid. Okay, again, let's have a practice. So if the reactants are one carbonate and one acid, what will be the products? The products will be, what is this calcium chloride again?
Metal.
It's a salt, and then you
So
have the water and carbon dioxide. Yeah, because I have this, I have already the questions. So what is the product with calcium? What is the, because when you say product, what you need is to look the elements after the arrow. So this is like your clue, the arrow. So if it is reactant, it means before the arrow. So that's your clue. What is the product with calcium? So you go to the right side. So definitely it's the calcium chloride. What is the reactant? So when you say reactant, these are the elements before the arrow. What's the reactant with hydrogen? You have, of course, hydrochloric acid from the word itself, hydro. Hydro means hydrogen. What is a product? So when we say product, it's before the arrow or after?
before
Product.
the
Product.
product. I mean after.
After, right? Okay. What is a product with hydrogen? Obviously, it's H2O, the water, okay? What is the reactant? Where is the reactant here? Before the arrow or after?
Before
Before, okay. Which contains carbon. Obviously, it's the
calcium
calcium.
carbon.
Yes, because of the clue, carbon here. So carbonate contains carbon. Hydrochloric means contains what's this? Yeah, hydrogen. And product with carbon, obviously, it's the carbon dioxide. So in your exam, you will encounter like this. Okay. Yeah. Now this time, no, I skipped this. I know it's a lot. Here. Okay, it's from your book, not your workbook, but your textbook about the chemical reaction. Yeah, I think that I included this one. Inside the digestive system, like you have the protein molecules broken down into amino acid molecules. So if we're going to talk about digestive system, protein, amino acids, is it physical change or chemical change?
Chemical.
Chemical change, obviously. Now the question is, has a new substance been formed? Obviously, right? So if the protein molecules are broken down, it becomes amino acid molecules. So again, the amino acids are the new substances. Has a chemical reaction taken place? Of course, definitely, right? Because there's a change. The protein, the question here is that your answer will be because the protein has been changed into different molecules and it becomes amino acid. So number 3 is a chemical reaction. Number 4, I've talked, yeah, I've explained this to your classmates. Respiration is definitely a chemical reaction. Okay. Now, as you can see here, yeah, glucose plus oxygen. This is the word equation for the respiration. So what are the reactants for the respiration? You have the glucose
Oxygen.
plus the
Oxygen.
oxygen, okay? And then there's an arrow because it is a, what's the explanation of arrow?
Uh chemical
Exactly,
chemical.
chemical reaction. And the byproducts are carbon dioxide, water, and ATP. Because ATP is kind of complicated for your classmates. Yeah, they were crying about this. That's why I put ATP. Yeah, definitely. Like they didn't want me to put this in your quiz or exam. So ATP, okay, this is a formula for ATP, C10, H16, N5, O13, and P3. What's happening here is you have the carbon, you have the hydrogen, you have the nitrogen, you have, oxygen, you have, what's letter P again?
Wasn't it phosphorus?
Yeah. Is it potassium? It's not potassium, right?
Yeah, it's
It's,
K.
yeah, it's K. Phosphorus? Is it phosphorus? Because wait, in chemical element. Totally forgot. Well, how come I forgot these things? Let me. Yeah, can you recall?
Sure.
I'm forgetting anything. All right. And we're running out of time now. I still have. Yeah, it's phosphorus. Yes. Yeah, definitely it's phosphorus. So this one is, the meaning of ATP. So meaning to say that the glucose, if you will combine the glucose with the oxygen because it's a respiration, then there are three products: the carbon dioxide, water, and the ATP. Whether, and of course I have done that. What are the reactants, glucose and oxygen products are the carbon dioxide, water, and ATP. Another is, how about in plants? Can you name a chemical reaction that happens in plants but not in animals? So the answer here is definitely a photosynthesis. Okay, because when we say photosynthesis, it all happens with the plants, not with the animals. And of course, I have given also the chemical reaction for the photosynthesis. You have the carbon dioxide, which is like 6CO2, and then the water 6H2O. So these are the products or reactants.
Reactants.
Reactants. And then, of course, arrow means chemical reaction, and plus the light energy, and then it will turn into glucose and oxygen. Yes. So these are like, simple examples of chemical reactions, because these reactions, new substances are formed. What else? We always use the word equation because once you will encounter these numbers when you reach grade 9 or grade 10. But for the grade 8, it's only like word equation. Uh, the substances at the start, from the very beginning, before the arrow, are called reactants. And then after the arrow, the new substances are what we call the products. And of course, burning is what? As I've told you, it's a chemical chemical reaction. So in your book, you will find some explanation here. What else that I have emphasized? Here, there are also some experiments that we have tackled. So, for example, this one, describe what happens to the magnesium ribbon. Yeah. So, what will happen if if there's a bright flame? Okay, so for
Um,
example, yeah. So what's the meaning of that bright white flame every time that you burn something?
that a new substance has been formed.
Yes, and of course that is a signal. That's a sign that there's a reaction. Okay, so if there's a burning white flame, there's a chemical reaction. If there's bubbles, if there are bubbles, and after the bubbles, like there's, some, yeah, air from the bubbles, like there's a fizz, there is also a chemical reaction taking that took place. Okay, I still have, okay, we're done with this. Let's see, here, This one is from your workbook. When a metal is added to an acid, it bubbles and give off gas. Again, metal plus acid, there is a gas, right? So what is the name of the gas? Your classmate, yeah. What's the name of the gas? The gas is
Hydrogen.
the hydrogen, not the salt. Yeah, she's wrong. I don't know who's this person. I think it's yeah. Explain how would you test for this gas? How are you going to test this metal plus an acid? So what you need is to collect the gas and bring a lead splint near it. If the gas is hydrogen, there will be a pop sound. So this is your clue. If you were going to collect all of your materials, your acid and a metal, then if there's a pop sound, okay, if there's a burning and there's a pop sound, the pop sound indicates that there's a gas, and the gas is the hydrogen. So here you can find some word equations that we included in your exam. So zinc is a metal combined with an acid. So the answer will be zinc chloride. And what is the zinc chloride? It's a, because you have the word chloride. Zinc plus
Uh,
acid, it's a name of a salt.
mm,
It's the
no,
name of a salt, yes. Again, your clue, zinc is a metal added with an acid. So
mm,
definitely there's a salt, and then another product is a hydrogen. Okay, how about this one? You have an acid, and your clue is only an acid and magnesium sulfate. You know that magnesium sulfate is a salt. Okay, it's a salt because you have already the acid. It's not carbon because there's no carbon as a product. So you know that this one is a salt. So what will be the name of the metal? The name of the metal is
magnesium.
magnesium, yes, because you will just copy it. And another byproduct is the hydrogen. Now, look at this. You have already the carbonate and you have the acid. And as I told you, if you will combine carbonate and an acid plus an acid, there are three products that will produce. So you have already the bonus, the carbon dioxide, which is always there, and also the water. They're friends, they always together every time that there's a reaction with the carbonate and acid. But then you have the copper, okay, and obviously the copper is a metal from the carbonate. And the chloride here, why did you get why there's a chloride? Because it's from the
Chloric.
hydrochloric acid. So again, if you see water and carbon dioxide, it means as products, it means that the next product will be a salt, and the reactants has something to do with acid and a carbonate. And look at this one. So you have already the clue. You have the water, H2O, you have the carbon dioxide. So it means that your reactants are acid and acid
Uh,
and
Carbonate. Wait,
exactly. So always like this, huh? If you see water, the dioxide, automatically you have the two reactants. And the magnesium sulfate is a type of salt. So again, it's easy. So the answer is carbonate. It's not the sulfide, because the sulfate here is from the sulfuric acid. So the magnesium, this is the metal coming from the carbonate, and the carbonate, this is the origin, because the product is carbon dioxide. And how are you going to test for a gas carbon dioxide? So this one is okay. Earlier, you're gonna test if there is a hydrogen. If there's a hydrogen, it means that you're going to add what? A metal and an acid. But the question here is, how are you going to test if the gas is carbon dioxide? So it means that what are the two things that you need to do for you to create a carbon dioxide? So it means that there should be a carbonate and acid, which are evident, and your clue, if it is a carbon dioxide, you have to use a lime water. It's simply like a water with lime. You know, the lemon, yeah, the lemon juice, because the lime water will act as an acid, as an acid. So if there's a carbon dioxide, the lime water will turn cloudy. So that will be your clue. Okay, again, because you will be using what? An acid here for you to find out if there's if lime water has a gas. Okay, again, let me repeat. So this one, how are you going to test if the thing has a carbon dioxide? Okay, so what you need is to use a lime water, because a lime water will act as a sulfuric acid. So if the lime water will turn into cloudy, then and there's a bubble gas, so definitely there's a carbon dioxide or hydrogen.
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide, exactly. So